Hi, everyone. Good morning. My name is Diana Olasabel, and I work for the Low Income Tax Clinic at Legal Services of Northern Virginia. I've been there for about 3 years, and we've been for the Low Income Tax Clinic roughly around 2 years now. I have information, brochures, and educational material about IRS matters. If you have a problem with the IRS, you receive a letter from the IRS, and it's important that you open it. And if you have no idea what it is about, and it's saying that you owe for a certain tax year, 2005, 2009, or 2012, you can call us, and we will help you solve your problem. We received a grant from the IRS for us to provide these free services to the community. And if you have a problem with Virginia Department of Taxation, we can also help only if it involves the federal income tax problem for that same year. Okay? So this is our brochure, Low Income Taxpayer, and it explains what the services that we offer for free. And there is a phone number in the back where you can call, and you will be screened by an intake paralegal at Legal Services of Northern Virginia. And if you qualify, then you will be scheduled to meet with me and the director, Nancy Ryan, who will be here momentarily to talk as well. There is also a brochure of the services that we offer in Spanish as well, and other educational materials relating to federal income tax. This flyer here, it's front and back, and it gives you a list of places where you can file your tax return for free. And it's got hours, address, and location. And the back is AARP as well. So they're different organizations, but they both provide free tax filing. Just make sure when you go to have all your forms with you ready for them to file your tax returns. Okay? So I would briefly explain a little bit of knowing your options if you owe the IRS. Let's say you owe $5,000 and there's no way you can pay. Then what you have several options. You have an installment agreement where you can it's like a payment agreement. You can agree with the IRS to pay monthly according to their formula of how much you can pay. It can be $200, $300, $150, depending on how much you owe. There's also currently not collectible status, meaning like let's say you're not receiving any income because you lost your job or you became disabled or something. Then they will hold your account. I think typically it's for a year, and they won't be after you. So you don't have to worry about, you can sleep at night because you have a hardship that you just can't pay at the moment. They will review your case the following year to see if you're still currently not collectible. Then the other option is called offer in compromise, which is a lot of the cases that we take care of. And basically what it is also an agreement with the IRS where you accept a lower amount that you owe to the IRS. A much lower amount. We have taken many cases where the offer in compromise has been approved, where someone owes $5,000 and all they pay the IRS is $10, and that's it, and case is closed. There are certain requirements for this offer in compromise, so your assets cannot exceed your income. You have to basically prove that what you owe to the IRS is much more than what you're making. So you got to prove your income, your monthly expenses, and then that's how it's all determined. But definitely contact us if you do owe to the IRS, or if you receive a letter and you're afraid, give us a call because we're here to help the community. We received a grant from the IRS and to provide these free services, and so we're here to help. So don't be shy, don't be afraid. Then the next one is identity theft and tax preparer fraud. Yes? Oh, what you owe, like property, yeah, like money in the bank, stuff like that. Yeah, it can't. You basically you have to prove that what you owe to the IRS, you don't have that money. You're making too little. And we help you prepare. It's a big. Sometimes it could be a big packet like that, and we meet with you. We tell you what we analyze your case, and we give you a list of documents that you need to bring for your next appointment. And sometimes the same day that we meet with you, a lot of our clients already have a lot of their documents. For example, they already have their current utility bills. That proves how much you're paying for water, electricity, gas, cable, or internet. And then they have their lease. That proves how much you're paying for your apartment or your house or mortgage, your car bill. All those expenses, we have to add it up and see that your monthly expenses is much lower than what you're making. That would help. Any other questions so far? No? Okay. Let me know if I need to clarify something, or if you have any questions, you can just raise your hand. So the next topic I want to discuss is identity theft and tax preparer fraud. Like I was saying, it's very important that when you receive a letter from the IRS, I know we get scared, like, oh my God, they're after me. But, and I've seen this where we just put mail aside and then I'll open it later and then we forget. That's very common. But it's important that you open the letters immediately because there are deadlines that you don't know about. And you may have missed the deadline when you open it and you're like, oh no. More or less, there's still, we can still solve your problem if you even pass the deadline. We can find other ways. But it's important that you open all letters from the IRS. And also, it's important that you just file a tax return, even if you don't know, because sometimes you may, if you have a child or something, you may be able to receive a credit, and you may be able to get a refund that you don't know about. Also, if you worked even for 3 months or 1 month in that year, and you may have not received a W-2 or a 1099 form, that company may have reported to the IRS what they paid you for your earnings. And that way, it's always important to contact your employers too and let them know, hey, I haven't received my W-2 or my 1099 form, even if you work 2 or 3 months, 1 month, because you never know what you qualify for. You get credits or a refund, you just don't know. What happens if you don't file a tax return? So what can happen? Yes. Oh, and you're earning commission? Yes. That's income. So yes, you should. Well, you can call them and find out if there is a form that they should be sending you. If not, you can explain to your tax preparer that, and your tax preparer would know what to do. But it's always important you tell your tax preparer, even if you worked someplace where you didn't receive a form to file your tax return, but you know how much. Always keep track of how much you're getting paid, even if it's commission, and also expenses. If you're using your mileage or gas to go from one, like let's say if you have a cleaning company and you go from one house to another house to clean, keep a record of how many miles you're using in your gas as well. So keep records of everything. And you can explain everything to your tax preparer. They know. And VITA and AARP, they're very good at knowing current tax regulations and law and anything that really relates to tax filing. You're welcome. So, any other questions so far? Oh, okay. Also, where was I? Okay. It's also important that to prevent, to try to avoid being a victim of identity theft. It's important that you do not carry your social security card with you. It's best that you memorize the number, and even at work, where you're working, you can ask your employer questions about where they keep track of your social security, a copy of your social security card. It's always good to know that. And if anybody asks for your full social security number, it's very important to find out why. And usually don't ever give out your full social security to anyone unless if you're applying for a loan or your bank or whatnot. But always provide your last 4 digits just to be safe. Let's see. So what to do if you are a victim? Yes. Well, under that, your Social Security doesn't really prove your identity. It's more of your Social Security number, like your credit history, and if you're eligible to work, or But it's better to carry a copy of like your immigration letter that you received if you've been approved for a certain category of immigration status, or your ID, your photo identification. You can definitely carry that. Does that answer your question? Okay. Oh, yes, they do. Yes, I said unless if you're applying. Like if you need to apply for a loan, then that's when, right, if you're giving it to a bank and stuff. So it's just, what my point is you just have to be careful who you're giving out your Social Security number, because it's a very delicate number. Everyone has a different one, and it's very delicate. So because if you do suspect that somebody else is using your Social Security number, you can always contact the Social Security Administration and let them know. Also, you can get a free credit report once a year, and that gives you your full credit report of everything, your debt and loans that you applied, and then you run it through, and then if you see something that it's definitely not you, then you definitely contact. You can even contact us too. There is a website, I think it's called, I'm going to ask Nancy, she'll be here any minute, but there is a website that you can go online and pull out your full credit report, and it's free. It's free once a year. And it's always you should keep that as a good habit of doing that. Right, yeah. I'll get back to you on that and find out what's the website, because there's one where they do give you a free credit report. Yes. Yes.
Just jump in.
Yes.
The website is www.annualcreditreport.com. Okay? And that's the one that the government pays for, so it's very, very safe. A lot of the websites, if you go on a computer, you're gonna get a lot of offers, but the one that we recommend you use is annualcreditreport.com, because it is free and it is sponsored by the government, so it's more secure.
Yep. Okay. So now this is Nancy Ryan. She is the director of the Low Income Tax Clinic. So I work closely with her, and we work on cases one-on-one. So I will transfer the microphone to her so that she can continue on with the presentation. Did you have a question? Yes, that's very true. The IRS will never contact you by phone or by email. So if you get a call from someone who's saying, you owe the IRS money, you have to pay us, or else we're going to arrest you, or we're going to call immigration and report you, that is false. You quickly hang up, and that's it. That's never the IRS. and they don't contact you by email. They always contact by letters, and that's why I said in the very beginning, it's very important that you open letters immediately from the IRS and contact us, okay? All right, any other questions? No? Okay, so here's Nancy.
That is very important. I myself, on both my home phone and on my cell phone this year, have gotten numerous calls from the IRS. Okay, and I get people who are so scared when they get these calls. I once had one of our old clients call the office because he got a call and he was sweating. You could hear him sweating over the phone. And what he was convinced it was the IRS. He was so frightened that he was going to go and meet someone at Walmart to get gift cards to give this guy. That's the usual scam. And I kept saying, no, this is a scam. This is a scam. You don't have to worry. This is just, this is dishonest. And he's like, how can you be sure? And I said, the IRS is the collection for the government. Do you really think they collect money by going to Walmart? I mean, it doesn't make sense, but people really get frightened, okay? I want to repeat something that I know Deanna already told you, and there are, because we're in a tax clinic, we see all the problem tax returns, mistakes or errors that have been picked up, but these programs, and we want everybody to take one of these home, these are paid for by the government. This is paid for by the IRS to make sure people's taxes are done correctly. And there's 2 programs that we're giving you access to. They are both funded by the IRS. The people who work in these programs have to be certified by the IRS to be trained to do tax returns. And believe it or not, the people at H&R Block and Jackson Hewitt, and who just put a sign up on their window saying we do taxes, do not have to be certified by the IRS. So they are not as well trained. So what you get here is better trained people who are not going to charge money to do your tax return. Okay, so this is one of the best free services you're ever going to get. At AARP, you don't have to be old, you don't have to have no money, it doesn't matter how much money you make or how old you are, you go to one of their sites and they will do your tax return very, very carefully. Okay, I don't know what else we're going to go over because I'm not sure exactly what you said.
If you want to discuss, I didn't get to this part.
Right. Have any of you had anybody who they believe has had money stolen by a tax preparer? I just want to warn you as to what happens, what the tax preparers typically will do, and that is a lot of times they will put, after you've signed your tax return, they will put a different bank account number into the computer so that some money is going to you and some money is going to them. So frequently you don't find out that there's been any money taken until after it's already happened. It is a crime for a preparer to take your money. It is a crime, which means you should call the police if there is preparer fraud. The first thing you should do is file a police report. If someone steals your tax refund, the IRS will give you the money back and they will hunt down the person. So if you can show that your refund was lost or stolen, you can get in touch with the IRS through us if you like, and we will help you get your refund. Okay, it's not that, if you were a victim, it's not like you're out the money. The IRS will give you that money back if you were entitled to it. Okay, but you do need to go through certain paperwork. You have to tell the police. You have to show that you actually filed a report because they don't want people to do scams on the IRS either. But again, we've got this information here. You can take it with you. And at any time, if you ever get anything from the IRS that you don't know what to do with, you should call Legal Services and come and see us because that's exactly what we're there for. I mean, the only thing you need to come talk to us and get some help is a letter from the IRS asking you to do anything. Now, does anybody have any particular questions? Yes, ma'am. How many weeks? It depends on how you file. If you're filing electronically, usually the refund comes in about 3 weeks. Though when you work at these sites, they're going to tell you 6 weeks. Okay, that's what we're supposed to tell people so they don't start calling all the time. But in my experience, electronically, it's usually 3 weeks later if it's going electronically to your bank account. If it's a check, that's going to take much, much longer. And I tell everybody, because of the preparer fraud, another type of scam, during this time of year, There are so many people who go through people's mailboxes on the street and look for government checks and steal the refund checks. So if you have a bank account, the best thing you can do is have the IRS transfer the money directly to your bank account. A lot of people still like to get checks, and when I'm doing returns, I say, you don't want to get a check because it could get stolen. You get it much quicker if you do it electronically, and it's far more secure. So I encourage everyone to do it that way. But again, this filing season, my refund came in 3 weeks. Now that we're getting towards the end of the season, I think because the volume is higher, it might take a little bit longer. But I've never heard of anybody these days taking more than 4 weeks for an electronic return that's getting electronic deposit. Okay, Virginia is really fast, 10 days. Bam, just like that. They process them very, very quickly when it's all electronic. So, definitely do everything electronically. Any other questions? What you really would need to keep track of your, I've seen people from Avon come in, they do get reports. When I do Avon does generally give information on at least how much they've sent you. I think you do need to, Avon is like you're in your own business, which means you probably need to keep track of what you're selling and know exactly what you get, and then you'll be able to subtract out the amount that you had to pay for the products and any other expenses that you have. But I think it's up, they're not going to send you what the stuff is worth. They don't know what you've actually sold. They only know what they've provided to you. So what you're going to do is keep track of it yourself. I always recommend if you're going to do a small business like Avon, have one separate bank account that you only use for Avon. So this way, any money that gets put in there, it's only Avon, and then you pay your bills out of there too. You pay for the products, you pay for your, whatever, your phone, whatever other expenses you might have when you're doing it. But I think that's just the easiest to do, is just separate bank account and keep track of it yourself. And then there's a special form that's filled out called a Schedule C, and they do let you subtract a lot of your expenses, including the cost of the products. And that's the way you figure it out. Okay? Any other questions from anybody? Yes? For the tax clinic, if you have a problem, you can come and talk to us for free regardless of your income. We can only represent people who earn under 250% of the poverty level, but part of why we're there is kind of to get people steered into the right direction. Okay, so if you're just not sure, you got a letter, you don't know what to do with it, you are completely welcome to come, make an appointment, bring your paperwork, and we'll go through it with you and let you know if you have a serious problem or how to fix it. Some things are very easy to fix. Okay, and especially when you just get a letter. I would say about half of our cases, when people come in the door, we sit down, we allow a lot of time for our appointments because sometimes there's lots of paperwork, but we can call the IRS with you that day, and it's called the practitioner's priority line. We can get through to the IRS quicker than you can by calling on your own. And when you're sitting in that office with me, we can find out what the problem is, and about half the time we can fix it that very day. And that's my favorite case because I've done an entire case and open it that day, close it that day, I'm done. But it solves the problem, and that's really our goal, is to solve people's problems with the IRS. But the IRS wants them solved too. That's very efficient for them to have you come to us and have us know how to help. One phone call, it fixes one of their problems too. So that's one of the reasons they have this program. It's very efficient and it's very, very helpful. And we do get, on the practitioner's line, we tend to get very well-qualified IRS employees too, who really know what they're talking about, and they really work very hard with the clinics to get people's problems solved. So like I said, you just want to come talk, we can maybe make a phone call, fix it, and you're done. But it doesn't matter how much money you make, okay? Anything else? Our services are free. We are never going to charge anybody a penny. No, absolutely not. Everything, legal services has all sorts of legal, they do things besides tax. We're just a tiny part of it. We do all sorts of other things. If you're sued, if you're having, if you need child support, whatever it is, we do a lot of different things at legal services. And no one at legal services will ever charge you anything for the lawyer's services. Okay, let me see what. Yes. I don't even know. You want to know the truth? They're not supposed to. But I don't know how people do it, and there are millions of dollars stolen from these false checks. I think they don't go to banks. Banks, no, but there are a lot of check cashing services where you go and you pay them $50 to cash the check, and they're going to take it and they'll get the money from the government. But it's not legal, but it still happens all the time. Okay, I can't hear from back there. If you've never filed, then you can just start at any time. If you've never filed, the IRS has no record on you whatsoever. Unless you work for a job that sends in W-2s or 1099s. When you go to work for someone who is legitimate, okay, a legitimate business, they're required to send information on what they're paying you to the IRS. And then they're also, at the end of the year, required to give you the information to show how much you earned. The IRS computers are going to match those things up. So if they get something from a business that says, Sandra worked for, made $10,000 working for me last year, the IRS computer is going to look for your social security number and say, where's the tax return with $10,000 on it? And if it's not there, if it's not in their computer records, you're going to get a letter saying, hey, you made this money, you need to file a tax return. But the IRS gets a lot of information from businesses other than from the tax return, and they do a matching program. That's mostly how the audits take place. It's mostly the computers find a discrepancy, and then they start sending letters. That's where we get most of our clients, because they've got an automated program done by the computers. So if you start working and if you're getting this information in the mail, a W-2, a 1099, you should go and file a tax return to make sure that, because otherwise they will come after you. They will find out from another source and they will send you letters. There are, if you make below what is the cutoff limit for this year? Around 10. 20? It's around $10,000. But if you are working at all, there are certain credits that people can get, especially if you have children. And the two main ones are something called the Earned Income Tax Credit and a Child Tax Credit. And you can only get those if you file a return. And the tax credit is really like a government program where they're encouraging people who work and have children to have jobs, to make some money, so that this way they can get extra money from the government. So certainly if you're working and you have children, no matter how little you earn, you definitely want to file a tax return to see if you can get the benefit of these credits. Your child you have to make sure you have Social Security cards for the kids, and the Social Security numbers, but you can get a lot of money from this. The other requirement these days is even if you're below the limit, if you are on Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act, if you get your insurance through the marketplace, you are required to file a tax return, because you're going to get a form called a 1095-A that shows how much your insurance cost and how much you paid for it. And there's a form that has to be filed through the IRS that matches up all of those numbers. So if you have Obamacare, you really do need to be filing for taxes. No matter what even if you earn nothing, you still have to file that form.
And also have jobs.
Okay. It depends on when you start taking your Social Security, okay? If you start taking it at 62, you take it early. Most people take Social Security at about 66. That's the normal age. But a lot of people opt beforehand because they want to get the extra money. There are limits to how much you can earn without having to give some of the money back, and those limits vary from year to year. So you can go find the exact number online. Most people, if you're going to start taking your Social Security, you're better off staying below the limit, because otherwise you reach the point where you're working for the government and you're just giving half of the money back. Okay, so I don't know, do you have your phone? You can Google what the amount is, Social Security cutoff for right now. I don't know, like I said, it's not a huge amount of money that you're allowed to earn without being penalized like this. Once you hit 66, then chances are they're not going to start taking that money back. But the thing that happens then is if you're still working, okay, what's the cutoff? Oh, excuse me, my knee. No, I don't want the amount of tax. I want to know how much can they earn without having to pay back at 62. What's the earnings limit for age 62 people? 'Cause I used to memorize these numbers, but they change them so often. Now now we have Google now. We don't have to do that. Once you hit the regular age, the 66. If you only have Social Security, there's going to be no tax on it. You can earn as much as you want, but the more you earn, they're going to reach a point where they're going to start actually taxing the Social Security. But that's a pretty substantial amount of money I do a lot of tax returns, and for most of the people I do over 66, they're not paying any tax on their Social Security. After age 70, you can earn as much as you want. It doesn't matter. Nothing's going to be taxed. Now, as far as people owing money, there is a legal limit of 15% of your Social Security. So if you owe money from past years, they're not going to be allowed to take more than 15% of your Social Security benefit. The IRS right now has a policy where if your Social Security is not Social Security retirement, it's Social Security disability benefits, they will never take money from your Social Security benefits. And that's really good news. But if you know someone who's low income and is only living on Social Security and the IRS is taking their 15%, you can almost automatically call up the IRS and ask for the currently not collectible status that Deanna told you about earlier. I have never had the IRS turn anybody down when we call up and say, all this person has is this amount of money from Social Security, that's all their income. They immediately stop all the collection action, and they'll just never collect the tax, and that's okay. So if you're struggling, if you know someone who's struggling because the IRS is taking a portion of their money, they can definitely get relief from that and get their full Social Security benefit. Yes, it's a question of affordability. It's not a set rule. It's just under IRS guidelines. If you're earning below, if their collection of the tax is rendering you unable to meet your living expenses, they will stop the collection of the tax. Well, I'm talking about when you're receiving the benefit, not when you're working. But anytime you work in a quarter, you're going to get credit for that quarter. I'm not sure we're talking about the same thing. If you're put in currently not we get you put into currently not collectible status. That's what we do. Yes, it does. That you're still working, you get credit for that quarter towards Social Security. That is correct. Okay, you're allowed to earn up to almost $17,000, $16,920 without having to give back any of the Social Security. Okay, so that's it. So that covers, and up until then, it's like all the Social Security would be all tax free. Any other questions? Because our time's almost up, but I want to answer any questions you have. That's fine. Both. If there's a chart you can look up, and you can see the ranges of income versus how many children you have. The more children you have, the higher the credit. The lower the income, the higher the credit. But that's it. But both of those things are going to be a factor. Okay. Please, everyone, take our brochure, that at least the one that talks about the clinic, so that pass them out to your friends. We're going to leave these here and hopefully have them available in your office. These are the free places, and I beg you to tell all your friends this year and all future years, never pay a tax preparer again. We want to do your returns for free at these organizations. Okay, thank you very much for coming, and thank you for all the good questions. I really appreciate it. Okay.
Hi, I'm Kim Cook, and I'm the executive director of the Vietnamese Resettlement Association. I am sorry I don't speak Arabic, or I do speak Spanish. My agency is a very small non-profit organization. We founded in 1982 when a lot of refugees from Asia, like Vietnamese, Lao, Cambodian, Afghan, came to this country. And we help them with everything. We were like a 7-Eleven in social services. If we try to help people to apply for food stamps, Medicaid, Medicare, disability, housing. And because we're so small, we don't advertise as much. But in the last 20 years, one of our biggest programs is the breast and cervical cancer screening program. We provide you with the mammogram and the cervical cancer screening individually. You don't go to the hospital and sit in a long line. You come to our office, we qualify you. And like one woman, if she makes $21,000 a year, she still qualifies for our program. And we send you individually to the same doctor that I go to. And the doctor will refer you to Fairfax Radiology, where I also go to. And all you need to do after you are qualified is to take a letter from us to Fairfax Radiology. All your mammograms are done there free. And nobody knows that you are in any other special program than all the other patients sitting there. If you are found an older woman, sometimes we have abnormality, they call, but it's nice stuff anyway. But that if they think there's something different about your breast, they would do other tests. If you have problems, suspicious of cancer or anything like that, we will find doctors and clinics that would do it for free for you too. So we follow you all the way until you get all the treatment necessary. We are able to provide like 500 services for about 500 to 600 people a year. And we don't make you wait for a long time. We don't make you wait in our office. We don't make you wait at the Fairfax Radiology because we make individual appointments with you first. All you have to do is bring a paycheck, copy of your paycheck or your income tax return to our office and give us your information, age, birth date, Social Security if you have. If you do not have Social Security, but maybe you have a passport number or other ID number, we'll take that too. So we don't require that people have to be citizen or green card or anything because we are nonprofit and we are community. If we find somebody has cancer, we can help you apply for Social Security, disability if you qualify. Like you need to have citizenship in Virginia to get Medicaid, but we can help you apply for that. Now, besides the breast and cervical cancer screening program, We provide counseling for you about many different things, like how to apply for public housing, how to find subsidies for your housing. If you have problems with your children, we can help you and refer you to the right places. Domestic violence. We have been around for 40 years, so we have contacts with all the public and private agencies. And so we can be helpful to you if you need it. And I'm the boss and I'm a social worker, and I don't believe in making anybody waiting. If your case is an emergency, I work with you. We can find, yes, we have a very small budget, but we have a lot of people who speak Arabic, Spanish. We have a worker who speaks Spanish, but we can find people that help you. We have provided a lot of services for Middle Eastern ladies. I'm going to stop here and let you ask me questions. If you have questions, please feel free to ask me. I'm sorry you're so far away. And next time, if you want to eat Vietnamese food, come to my office. Yeah, it would have pork for Latinos, but none for Arabic. If you have Medicaid, you can go to get your own mammogram, right? But sometime you would get a mammogram, and after that, Medicaid doesn't pay, and say, unfortunately, you need services with an oncologist. You need to check with us. If you want to, you don't have to. Every year, if you are our client, we follow you through, plus we can fight for you. Say, some people do not get Medicaid if they only have green card. So we will go look for the clinics, the hospital that would take care of you. We don't care what status you are. I return state money in order to be able to help all women that need the services. So we are free. And it's worth being free. So I don't get paid very much. Many of my staffs are volunteers. That's why we have been able to survive for 40 years to help our brothers and sisters. Sometimes our men do complain that most of our workers are women. But in the breast cervical cancer screening, we want to preserve the privacy for women. That's why all of us social workers, case workers, are women. Any other question? I'm just like your sister or your aunt, daughter, so feel free to talk to me even after, okay? And also, your worker here can call me back and I can meet with you here. I want to introduce you to one of my staff, Nam Anh. She's the one that would meet you in the office and fill out all the form and send you to the doctor. So this is Nam Anh, and she is there from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. And we're going to leave our brochure, our calling cards, and the flyers about the breast and cervical cancer screening program for you with a phone number. And feel free to call, okay? It was nice meeting you, and we hope to see you. You're welcome. Bye. Thanks for the food. You're welcome.